Hey everybody, this is Michael. So, this video, I'm going to be retelling a personal experience I had with the supernatural. So, hopefully you enjoy it, and yeah, let's get right to it. So, I grew up in a town called Poway, and Poway was known um, to be the former land of the Kumeyaay Indians. Uh, and anyone who lived there for long enough always seemed to get their own kind of story of experience. Something would happen to them, something like that. And I lived there for almost 20 some years, I think. No, it's a little bit shy of that probably, because I think I moved out like yeah, no, well after my 20s, um, early 20s. So I have a couple experiences, but the one of the more profound ones I remember was I was walking home and essentially, I had my headphones on, I was doing my 5 mile walk or whatever it was home from my work. And, it was late at night, and I normally worked at a gas station um, at this time, and I got off at like 10. It was normal for me to do that, and so it's pretty late, really dark, and the city itself had like very kind of I'm not really sure how to describe them, but they had the street lamps that were orange, and these orange lights would essentially illuminate one area, but because of the lighting, it would leave vast swaths of darkness, of shadow. And so essentially, if you could step out of where the light fell, you were in almost complete darkness. And one night I was walking home, and I've been mugged before. I've been assaulted, robbed, all that sort of stuff. And so you kind of have your head on a swivel, as they say. And at one point, I just remember having like that feeling of like being on guard, like you're being targeted, you're about to be attacked, and like if you've ever been through a bad neighborhood and and you're about to be mugged, you either don't see it coming or you see it coming from a mile away, and that's usually the two how it comes. And so at this point, but I was like literally a couple blocks away from my house. I could literally see my house at the end of the block. So I felt like I was in my, you know, safe neighborhood. Although it wasn't really that safe. But at one point, I literally just had, and I paused my music and I just was listening. So I still had my headphones on because I didn't want to alert the person that I was possibly onto them. But I kept walking. Of course, if you're in a sketchy place and you think you're about to be attacked, don't stop. Usually, But then again, breathe the situation. So I'm going, and I literally hear boom, 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 and like you could hear footsteps, and I could felt the vibration through, the concrete. If someone runs by you on a hard surface, you can usually feel the vibrations, and that's when all my senses, I guess, spidey senses triggered, for lack of a better term, and I was like, I'm under attack. I'm about to get, hurt. And I turn my head, and out of the corner of my eye, I can see this figure running, like just full on at me. And I, I was surprised. They clearly had momentum. If I started running, they'd easily catch up to me, and that is so. I mean, the only thing I could do was throw my headphones off, turn around, and just put my hands up, and just like, all right, man, let's do this. And when I turned around, that figure, like I clearly saw this figure in the dark, in the shadow. And I fortunately, I was just under a street lamp, and so I backed up into the light so that way, I won't be fighting in the dark. We can at least see each other, um, and that figure, when it got into the light, just completely, like it completely dissipated, I guess, or disappeared. Um, yeah, but I remember the sensation of my every bit of my senses, my gut, my body saying like you're under attack. And so it wasn't like I saw something and then was like, oh no, I saw a ghost, and then I got scared. No, it was my body responding, like a natural response that I've had before, that I've developed because this happened, or at least these sensations I experienced before. As an example, I was walking home from work, and this dude, in a hood comes out, and he has a knife, and he didn't make any demand, he didn't anything, he literally just comes at me, and I'm like, and I had to deal with that. That was a natural person, but I didn't realize that person was there until like I got that sensation of like you're under attack, you're in danger. And that's when I kind of looked around, and that's when I saw this guy coming around from from behind the car. He had the hood up, and he had like his hand tucked behind his leg in a particular way, clearly hiding something. And then he pulled out a knife, and off we went. We had to deal with that. And so it was a sensation. So it wasn't that I saw this dark shadow figure and then got scared. It was the fact that I got all the sensations that I was being attacked, that I was being targeted. And so when I turned around to confront this thing, that's I clearly I clearly saw a figure running. Like it literally could have been a normal person running through the darkness, and before they got into that street lamp, it was very real. But when they got into the light, it like they continued running, but then all of a sudden they just disappeared, I guess. And obviously this channel is called Michael Can't Stop Thinking, and I often think about that. What was that? What happened? Was I crazy? But then again, like mentally I can see how you look into the darkness, and then you can manifest shapes or anything like that, and then go from there. But for me, it was the entire opposite. It was all my senses telling me I'm under attack, and then when I looked into the darkness, I saw something attacking me. I saw something coming at me, very much the charging full sprint at me. And I saw do what I had to do, do what I normally do in that scenario, and put myself up to, to guard, to confront whatever this was, only for it to disappear within the light, and yeah. So and that experience has always kind of bewildered me, because it wasn't the you look into the darkness and then you start getting scared. It was already in the dark. I'd been walking home. This is a known neighborhood of mine, and my sensations, my senses were telling me otherwise. It wasn't me seeing something and then getting scared and worked up that way. It was the opposite. I literally, was, well, you guys get the point, So, yeah. That was, I guess we'll call this one the Assault of the Shadow Runner. Kind of a catchy name. Alright, well, yeah. So I'm just putting these videos out of my own personal experiences with the supernatural or preternatural. Just simply to give, testimony, and also to kind of give you guys a little bit more thought on it. So, yeah. Alright, everybody. Take it easy.